You need a dose of this.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is You Need a Dose of This. Your friend and friendly independent creator, George Medina. And tonight, I'm actually doing double duty tonight because if you joined me earlier today, I was on with Hades earlier today on the show, and we were talking about Dead of Night. Tonight, I have Miss Laurie Calcaterra, who's waiting in the back, waiting to come in, and we're going to talk to her about her book, which is Path of the Pale Rider. And if you have been following any sort of independent comic, if you haven't heard of the Path of the Pale Rider, you might be living under a rock because this woman has been on so many podcasts. She's done so many appearances. She's talked to as many people as she possibly could about this incredible book, and she's made rounds. I'm going to bring her in, and when we bring her in, I do want to thank the sponsor of the show, but let me bring her in first. Here she is, Miss Laurie Calcaterra. Oh, look at you. How are you, Laurie?
Hey, I'm great, George. Thanks for having me on. I really have been looking forward to coming on this show of yours. So thank you. And thank you everybody in the chat. I'm gonna have a fun time.
Oh, we've been on so many shows together in the past few months. We've been doing a lot of things together, which I've enjoyed.
Oh, okay, just checking.
Yes, I have. Here's Lou, always representing. What up,
Hi,
Lou? How you doing? It's been a good time. I mean, we travel in similar circles, so we've been doing a lot of things together. But before we get into what we're gonna do here tonight, let me just share something with everyone. This is the sponsor of the show, Mr. Eddie Lima. He's got a book called End of Zed, but I'll let him tell you about it. Here we go.
My name is Eddie Lima, and I'm the creator of End of Zed, a project I've been working on for years. The story follows a robot who crash lands in the Bronx in 1982, severely damaged and with no memory, as he navigates one of the city's most turbulent times, shaped by the rise of the crack epidemic. He also discovers the powerful, positive force of hip-hop.
Where am I? Party people, are we ready? 3, 2, 1.
End of Zed isn't just another comic. It fuses the rebellious energy of New York City with a gripping dystopian narrative. This story delivers visually striking action and powerful themes. If you're into bold, unapologetic storytelling, then the End of Zed is for you. By backing this project, you're not only helping bring Zed's story to life, but you'll gain access to exclusive rewards. I can't wait for all of you to experience Zed's world. Back my project today and become part of this amazing journey.
That, I gotta tell you, that is probably one of the best Kickstarter videos I've seen in a while. Because it tells you what the story's about. You know, he sounds genuine and he's, you know what I mean? Like, it's amazing. It's amazing.
He's to the point. He gets it in under a minute. The visuals are there. The music is there. It's spot on.
It's great. It's great. Lou's also doing double duty.
What are you doing, Lou?
Well, she was. Well, if she means that she was on earlier with me as well.
Oh, you were watching when Hades was on. That's cool.
She was watching. Yeah, she was awesome. Seriously, just imagine landing in the Bronx with no memory. Yeah, that would suck. That would suck. But yeah, so big shout out to Eddie Lima. Here, the show notes will have all of his information. So if you guys want to check out End of Zed, which is a book that he's been working, like he said, for a very long time, and it's finally out. And you know how that is, Laurie. Like when you've been working on your book and you have your first Kickstarter, you don't know how it's going to do. You're hoping for the best, right? So
panic.
Tell us,
Panic in the disco.
Path of the Pale Rider. What is Path of the Pale Rider? And I want to deep dive into issues 1, 2, 3, 4. And you even have some stuff from 5 that you're going to show us.
I shared new stuff from 5 that nobody has seen before except for my team. So y'all get to see a little taste. Now I'm not gonna spoil the big ending because of course you know me.
Right.
There'll be a big ending, but you get to see a
Mm,
little peek of what's gonna happen. So but Path of the Pale
yes.
Rider is a Western apocalypse series where death is broken.
Mm,
And so people are like, oh, so it's a zombie book. It's like, no, we broke death. So your
right.
body can die, your soul, your energy, however you want to think about it, it does not leave your body upon death, but you're you stuck in your body as you decay. So as
Wow.
your brain rots, you lose your memories, you lose your emotional control. People get violent, people get angry or detached. Um, they just don't care. It's not important to be living anymore. We'll just put it that way.
That's
So it
insane.
gets very chaotic. And because it's death that's broken, it was like, okay, it's not just people. Because usually you watch like, come on, we've watched zombie movies
Right.
and Walking Dead and blah, blah. It's people that are affected. But what if death itself was affected? So it's people, animals, insects, fish, everything. Whew. You
This
do,
is
Lou. Jude St. Clair figures it out in issue number 9. So we're
yeah. So the
almost
question is,
there.
do we find out why death broke? And
Yes.
that was so right before we came on. I asked you this question about death and how it broke.
Mhm.
And my specific question to you was, when did you put that
Figure that part
wrinkle
out.
into the story? Yeah. When did you say, that's how it happens?
I did a lot of research and got pretty
Uh-huh.
creative. So, at first I was like, okay, what would happen if the world broke? And so
Mm,
I spent a lot of time world building, like this is what would happen, what would we eat, how would bugs react, how would people react, what would the government do, how would we treat the undead as they
yeah.
decay because they're a powder keg. And then it was like, oh, I should probably figure out how this all happened. Did a ton of
Right.
research,
Right.
right? And put it into
So
play.
what does that research look like? Like,
I
what research
I don't
did
know if
you
I can
do?
say. It was,
Okay, I will give it
no,
away if you okay, okay.
I don't wanna see, it's such a integral part of the story is
Right,
what happened, right? That's the quest that he's on, this impossible journey to figure it out,
right,
because when death is broken, it's like, is it aliens? Is it virus? Did the government do it? Is it the rapture, right? Contaminated
uh-huh.
food. Who is responsible and how were they able to do this? And so I don't wanna give any hints at all
Okay,
because
yeah,
y'all are in for
don't
that wild ride, and I want you to
don't
think
yeah.
about it.
So, yeah, no, and we do. And as a person who's read all of the books, yes, I'm constantly thinking, and every time we talk about it, and now this is what this opportunity to ask you what it was, but I don't want to know because I do want to be surprised. you you've done a few things with the campaigns, with the world building. You've done a lot, and again, for those watching, check out Path of the Pale Rider. The website will have a lot of that stuff. But
Yes.
you did a few videos, and we were talking about that video before
Oh,
we
the
came.
video.
One of the first videos was, what did you call it, the conspiracy video? Is that what you
It's a
call it?
conspiracy theory video. Yeah,
The
so
conspiracy theory video.
part of Path of the Pale Rider is I craft an experience, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a comic book, but then there's also riddles to solve and there's fan interactive short films that I record myself and I'll bring people in, and if you want to be in them, you can. But they're all a little different. So sometimes it's just pictures, other times it's video. Sometimes you can phone in your recording, and other times I need you in person. It just depends on what crazy idea I'm working on. And so the second one was I dressed up as a news reporter. This is the origin story for Ellie Brock. Okay.
Ellie
So if you
Brock,
guys have
yes.
watched my Kickstarter videos with undead news reporter Ellie Brock, well, I think I call her recently deceased. Yes, consequences. That's Ellie. So Ellie is alive in the beginning of the video, and she just asks everybody, like,
well
"What do you think broke death?" And people were
well
allowed to say whatever they wanted.
Yeah, well, we have the video now. I know it's a
Yeah.
5 minute video, and you know what? I almost want to play the whole thing because it's a cool freaking video. So I'm going to share this video with you guys. I want you guys to check it out. We have time. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
we're
I
hanging
don't
out.
I don't gotta go nowhere.
I ain't gotta go nowhere.
I'm
Let's
in my
do this.
beautiful Tuesday morning brew house.
Let's do this. All right. So
All right.
this is, I'm about to play this video for you guys. Enjoy Conspiracy Theory short version SD 480p. Here we go.
That's my husband.
Yeah, there he is. There's
There's
Ellie.
Ellie,
There's Ellie.
alive and well.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on Channel 13 WDED. I'm Lewis Landon. As you know, we've been following this crisis as it develops. And now we'd like to go live to Ellie Brock on location, talking to you, the viewer, on what you think caused this horrific crisis. Ellie, good evening. And how are you?
Hello, Lewis. How are you? I'm here on location today. We're going to walk the streets and see what people have to say. Hello. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. You got it. What do you think broke the death
She's so silly.
The witches.
The witches.
If I
Cats.
had to pick one thing, it'd be the aliens.
Aliens.
Yes, aliens.
Where did they come from?
Outer space.
Why do you think the death process is broken?
I can tell you. It's that damn sugar.
That's a good question. And a lot of you are going to say the government. I know, in fact, most of you are going to say the government.
I think it's the government.
I think it's the government.
Do you want to talk about what you think broke the death process? Sir. Sir, do you have a second? I'd like to ask you a question.
It has to be
Nothing.
None of this is the reason death was broken.
I honestly think it's vaccines.
What's causing the undead and what's causing the human form to turn into the undead. And it's not just death. If you think about it, this makes sense.
No comment.
Wait, are you saying we can't die?
I think it's the food that we eat.
It's in our candy.
I'm not answering no question.
Pops.
Is it even real? What? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not.
I bet it's the cats.
This,
I know it's the cats.
this is my neighbor. She actually hates
Off
cats.
Now.
Yeah.
So GMOs.
Remember the pygmies? I think they're back.
No fucking comment.
It's the nanotech technology.
A horse, and he who sat upon it was death.
Can you elaborate?
He said
Look, man, I
Jesus.
don't know about
Jesus.
Maybe this is all just a really bad trip.
You people, I think you guys are all at fault. The media, the government, Big Pharma. You guys know who did this, and I won't stand for it.
No comment.
It's in our coffee. We can't die.
Well, I mean, your body dies. So where can people go to find this information?
Google.
That's what I think it is. Like specifically yogurt?
Not the yogurt.
It's in our drinks.
Can you be more specific?
No.
Is there a cure? I don't think so.
Honestly, I think there's a colony of pygmies. And I think they are out casting voodoo spells.
That blueberries got me real concerned.
It's in the brisket.
Yes.
It's in the barbecue.
She was
Who's
so
around
funny.
you? How many deaths do you hear about?
A lot right now.
So of course it was the witches. They're the smartest people in the world.
She just cries.
He
This
have given
one.
me some bad stuff.
You just said I don't die.
Your body dies, but yeah, you stay in it while you decay.
It's sugar. Don't believe everything you hear.
It's absolutely organic.
Just the meat
Barbecue
and the
brisket.
water
In the water.
and the vegetables.
That's the limits of life.
It's McDonald's. McDonald's broke death. And the reason I say that is if you think about it, their food don't actually burn. Their food is designed to be consumed by the dead. But see, if you take it, then you die. So it's the consumption of eating the food that only is made for that do not die. You get what I'm saying? It's
Wow.
McDonald's. Trust me,
McDonald's chicken nuggets.
It's just bad.
Chicken nuggets.
Crazy. It's crazy stuff.
I'm gonna go rob a bank.
Yeah, bullshit.
Oh my god.
Oh.
I don't know why the dead don't fucking die. Look at me. Look at me. Put the phone.
And there you have it. We've
Here it
spent all
comes.
day
Yeah.
asking people what they think. There's some truly wild accusations out there, and let me say, we really have no idea.
Boop.
His reaction is classic.
Google
to commercial.
Go to commercial.
Is she okay?
When I had told my parents, I was like, "Oh, we're gonna film the where I get hit by the car." They were so concerned. It's
Oh
all
my
movie
God.
magic. I was
It- it-
completely saved.
Look at this. Look at this image. It just brings me back.
That image means something.
Mm. It all does. Everything does.
It all does. It's all connected. It's all connected. And I've been telling you things since issue number 1.
Yes.
Telling you where we're going. I'm telling you what has happened with the imagery. When it all comes together and the light bulb comes on, you're just like, I get it. Like, damn it, Laurie.
Lou has a theory. She says,
Is
gangrene?
it gangrene?
That's it, gangrene. All right. Well, see, and that's the fun. That's the fun of the book, right? Because we're on this ride now, and we're on this ride, and we're here trying to figure it out. But the other person, literally on this ride, is your main protagonist, right?
Jude. Yes.
Jude. Now, talk to me a little bit about Jude, and where you came up with the idea for Jude, like, because the way you tell the story, and I appreciate your storytelling technique here, because issue 1, we're in it.
Yeah.
He's already in it. We're like, what, 10 years into it?
10 years
or whatever it
into
is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you bring us back to before it began. And he was a younger dude, you know what I mean? Like, so tell me a little bit about Jude.
So Jude, he's just a sarcastic bastard who has a lot of luck. Really good luck, really bad luck. It depends on how you look at the situation. But he's a regular guy. He doesn't have any special powers. He can pick locks and he can use American Sign Language. Those are his special powers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's about it. He's just overly determined to figure it out because everybody else has kind of moved on. I mean, look at us in COVID. Like, you know what I mean? Like, very quickly, we were like, we're done with this, right? Everybody just wants to survive.
Yeah.
And that's the world he's in. It's devolved back to this Wild West. And he's trying to make do, with just what's on his back and his relationship with his horse, trying to get to somewhere where he can find someone who knows something. And so you'll see him make bad decisions. The first issue is a love letter to who Jude is. You see him make decisions. You see him fight back against a whole pack of wolves. So he's not afraid, even though he doesn't know if they're living or undead or what. He's ready to fight. You see him polite to a woman and a small child.
Yeah.
Right? He comes upon them. And again, in this world, you can't trust anybody. They actually have a stone wall all the way around their house so that people can't sneak up on them. And so he actually alerts them to his presence early on. So that way they're not scared of him. And like, he's talking to the little girl, lets her in on the secret. Like, the horse's name is Diana Prince, based off of a warrior woman who was the protector of the human race. Right. And so he's nice to women and children. He protects people. He's polite, but then on the same, like, he still makes stupid decisions. Like, him stopping to pick up that glass was dumb on his part. And he knew it was dumb. He was tired, and maybe not thinking clearly, but that glass is important for a lot of reasons. So I show you a name of a city on that glass. We'll just leave it at that. And then the fact it flew into the air and he dove to catch it. He almost like attached very much to his past. He's on a mission to try and put things back to the way things were. He hasn't let go of what was. See?
Right. Well, so let me just show this here. The images.
Oh, it says image with the clues gives me Fringe vibes.
Great stuff.
Fringe.
Yeah, I've never watched. Yeah, I think so. I've never watched Fringe actually, but that sounds
been a long time since that was a good one. I think I watched the first couple seasons, but yeah.
So here's my question for you, Laurie, because most people, obviously when the pandemic happened in 2020, we had a lot of time in our hands, and a lot of people sat down and wrote and put out their books because they figured out now's the time. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
the thing about this book, and though it may seem like, well, it makes sense, right? That's what Laurie did. It was the pandemic. She thought of a story around that time, made sense.
Nope.
When did you create this book?
I wrote this in 2018.
2008, 2 years prior.
2 years prior to the pandemic, it was written as a full-length movie. I had it on 3x5 cards because I had watched one of those masterclass commercials, and it was David Finch, and he was talking about if you could get about 100 3x5 cards with ideas for scenes, you have about the length of a full-length movie. And I was like, well, I got this idea. And I still use that sometimes if I get stuck on an episode, because I'll write down all the ideas and I can rearrange them very quickly. Be like, okay, well, I like this, but this would actually work better before instead of after. And so I can rearrange my thoughts before I put it down
That's
on a
excellent.
piece of paper.
That's excellent. Wow, that is a good little trick. So how did the idea come though? Like, what were you doing? Like, where, because some, like, I remember, I know, like, some of the ideas for like my stories, I'm driving on the road or something, and I'll see something and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Like, let me write that down. How did this like, where did it come from? Like, were you sick? You're like, oh, what happened? Like, what, how, why?
It just can't. Okay. I was writing screenplays, short form screenplays for the production company. And so that's really where I started writing in 2017. I wrote Catfishing. I wrote another series called The Agency, which is like spy versus spy, lots of martial arts and battles. And that was getting turned into a live action. That was the intent for that one. And then I had another script that I was toying with, and I was just like, but what if death broke? So it just popped.
That was the question. That was the question.
It. What if death broke?
Had you watched a movie? Like, had you watched like no, it just popped into your head. That's interesting to me. So
I wanted to do something different. I love horror. I like zombies. And there's other things, like, I don't want to say it now because it'll be a big spoiler. It'll be a hint. But if you've seen some of the other things that I talk about, there is a genre that does scare me. And so you'll see that show up later.
Gotcha. But
so zombies don't really scare me, but I thought it was interesting. I love zombies, but again, it's like Walking Dead. We were watching Walking Dead, reading Walking Dead. It was World War Z. It was The Strain. I know that's vampires, but still, it's like a lot of that kind of viral infection, and 28 days later, and right? So I watched all that and was like, what if we did something different? What if it is not something where we're focusing on the survivors? What if we're focused on the answer? What if our guy is like the last guy that's still trying to figure it out, and everything is affected, not just people, animals, plants. I mean, plants are affected, but they're not. And this is what scares me, Lou, is because I wrote this whole thing as a full length. It's one script. 1 through 12 is one massive script. And my sister read it, right? And so it was like, I let a few people read it, and then it was like, you should do something with this, Laurie. And I was like, all right, well, what do I do? Right. And it was, you should pitch it to Netflix. And then when you look more into that process, it becomes, one, very difficult and not really that appealing because you lose all of your creative rights. Right. Or they just don't even bother to respond to you, which is typical, right? Because who are you? You've never written anything before. Yeah, it's a great idea, but who cares? You're not bringing anybody with you.
I always feel like when you do something like that, you send it in somewhere and you don't get a response. I always get that feeling that they're working on it. Like, they take the idea, they don't tell you anything about it, and they just basically have their people work on it.
But that's why I don't want to do that too, because this. If it were live action, if you took a look at my original script, the whole thing as a live action, it would be millions of dollars to produce this thing live action. It's big. We're going to have big moments coming up really soon. And so I was like, I don't want to put it out there even because someone's going to be like, that's a great idea. I wonder if and then tweak it. You know how there was like Ants and Bugs Life?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How that always happens.
Yeah.
So
no,
I didn't want to do it.
So this
comic. Yeah, this is
question
great.
with Lou. Yeah. How do you manage to kill off characters if death is broken?
You don't. They can always come back. Now, if you want to incapacitate someone fully, you have to take them apart.
Ooh. Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean that they can't
like shred them.
Shred them.
almost.
Yeah, you can turn someone into hamburger and it's pretty gross, but there's consequences to that too. And we haven't gotten far enough into the story to see that happen, but we will.
So,
There's
yeah,
consequences.
consequences. So I mentioned that you've been on tons of podcasts talking about this
Yeah.
since you came out with it. What was the first one? 22, I think, 2 years ago. maybe you came out?
2022. I want to say March to April. We kickstarted March of 2022.
Right. Has anybody ever asked you a question on one of these podcasts that you hadn't thought of yet? And you were
No.
like, oof, I got to go back and figure this one out. No, you pretty much have got the world figured
the-
out. There isn't a question that they've actually kind of stumped you on, and you're like, yeah, I got to go back to the drawing board for this one.
No.
Nice.
Nope. All the rules are set.
Nice.
And that's what's so interesting about this story, Lou, is like you
Oh,
all have
let me
read my
hear it.
first issue and we lost one of the characters. That doesn't mean we won't see them again.
Hmm.
Right? And not just in a flashback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jude himself could be undead and the story would continue.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Now you did mention the screenplay, and I do want to show
Yeah.
a side-by-side comparison of
this
what
is
we're
cool.
talking about, because I thought this was really cool that you sent me this. So you put this together and share with everybody here. So this is it. So now this is I counted about 14 pages of story of comic.
Yeah.
And what you have shown here is about 3 pages. Well, you said 8 pages. This is in 8 pages. Is it?
It's an
not-
8-page full script, but I think I did like the last 3 pages of the script, and it was the bear chase
right
to the
okay.
end. Laurie
Okay.
dismembered characters to be able to drink the tears of her readers. Ha 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 ha, ha. Lou, just wait until the next one.
Yeah. Oh my god. So,
Now they're gonna
this
come for
is
me.
this is cool because this is what you gave Marco, right? When
Yeah.
Marco first came on, this is what you gave him. You said, "Here's the script. Break this thing down," and this is what he did.
Well, it was a conversation because I had never written in comic book format before. And so when I sent him the script, I asked him if it was something that he could work from. The first time I wrote in comic book script was for Psycho Sal number 4. Because
Well, you
that's
broke
how
down
they
page
work.
1, panel whatever. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. But
So
otherwise, it's this. It's
he did-
exterior dusk, twisty cliff road.
yeah,
And
so this
let's
is
go
how
in.
I still write path, because that's how I'm
Oh.
thinking of it, is exposition with dialogue and basic setting. So that's how I do it. But and then I translate whatever episode into pages in like, hey Arlise, how are you, man? And I found, lady, you are a lady. So I figured out that when I do it that way and I do it onto the pages, I can see where I might need more excitement, or I have too much, or I don't have enough, or too much dialogue. You know what I mean? So I'm able to adjust it from the screenplay to the comic book format, and make a few tweaks. The first time I've added anything will actually be with issue number 6. I added a scene in issue number 6 that wasn't in the original screenplay from 2018. It's the first time I've done that.
Oh, wow.
Everything that you have read and you will read up to issue number 5 was written in 2018.
Wow.
Did not change.
So let me ask you this. You give this to Marco. You say,
Yes.
hey, Marco, you want to work on a comic? He's like, yeah, sure. And you give him this. What was his reaction to getting a script that looks like this? Because I'm assuming he was waiting for page 1, panel 1.
No.
This happens. What was his reaction to it?
We had the conversation early on that it was a screenplay, and I had uploaded it and let him read it. And then it was the conversation, do you need it in a different format? And he said, no. He's like, when I read your script, I can see it play out in my head.
Cool.
And he actually taught me a lot about the pacing, like where you want the pages to turn, stuff like that. Because again, screenplay, it's just playing live action in my head. And
Yeah.
so when we were like this is page this, page that, page 6, page 7, where did the page turn? For the big reveal of Big James standing on his hind legs roaring, stuff like that. Where, you know what I mean? It was a conversation, and Marco was teaching me at that point. You know what I mean?
Right.
I had no expectation of what he would bring to the plate. And it wasn't until we had done the first one and the second one where it's like, okay, now I get it. You know what I mean? So it was a
Gotcha.
learning process for me, but he took it all in stride. He was excited. It was never like, oh, can you do this differently? It was always like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about how paneling. And I was always on board where I'm like, oh, well, this one looks good. He would thumbnail about 5 different versions of a page very quickly
Wow.
in
Holy God.
small, yeah, a lot, right? But this was, it was like this paneling, and then he did like slightly different. I think the best example of that, I sent you one,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
also
Let's
for
see.
issue
I'll show
number
it.
2, where he paneled, they were having a poker game
Mhm.
and he did the poker cards as panels. And I was like, that's awesome. You know what I mean? So when you immediately see something like that hits, you should do that one.
Right.
Then it, reinforces for him which thumbnail works, and he might fine tune it as he goes. But he paneled all of issue 1, issue 2, issue 3, issue 4. Maybe that's why he don't want to work for me no more. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's not what happened, guys. He got busy.
And I bring this, I zoomed into this because you mentioned this scene here with the glass. This is when you were talking about the glass, this is that moment with the glass. And there's a reason why you did it the way you did it, right? Like the pacing
Absolutely.
of the scene and all that other stuff, because pacing is huge in storytelling, right?
Yes.
Obviously, I'm currently watching a show called The Penguin, and some people may say it's a slow burn, but there's a lot of character development in it. And that's what you're doing here. You're developing the character of Jude
Yeah, this
and
is
who he is and what he does, right?
exactly. This is the relationship between Prince and Jude. They're
Mhm.
on this dangerous road. They know it's dangerous, but they've taken risk before based off of their conversation. They have this very natural relationship between horse and human. And she's his lady. Look, I mean, he got her a birthday present. He got her new
Right.
shoes. That's what you get your lady for her birthday, right?
Right,
And so
right,
they
right.
have this
Bond.
established relationship. They trust each other. They know what to do in dangerous situations. But then you still have Jude St. Clair doing stupid stuff on the road because he is so attached to his past. He was born before the change, before the apocalypse hit. And so he still has this belief that it could be back to the way it was. And so when he finds things like trinkets
Mhm.
from before that are in good shape, he's compelled to have them because it reminds him of that time. He
That's
puts his life
interesting.
in danger just to get the stupid thing.
I like this foreshadowing right here. Dead bear.
Yeah.
But now let me ask you a question about this person
Blech.
who was holding the glass. They're dead, obviously. Is
Are
it that,
they? Well, I mean, they're
right?
undead. It's moving,
It is moving. Okay. So that's what I was going
Yeah.
to ask you next. Like how
holding onto
long?
the glass.
And obviously they've been undead or dead, but not quite dead for a while, right? Because they're green. You know what I mean? Like so. Is it after a certain amount of time then you obviously just kind of like cease to exist at that point?
You
Like,
don't cease to exist. There is no death. You're
mm,
in how do I'm dancing around
okay,
the
all
answer
right.
here.
No, don't say, yeah,
There is no death.
gotcha.
It does not matter your decomposition level. You are still here.
You're still here.
There
Okay.
are consequences. I'll
Right.
just
Okay.
do it
Yeah.
that, right? I keep saying that,
Yes.
but there's consequences to what happens to you after your body is too decayed.
And speaking of
But you're still here.
consequences,
Yeah.
consequences,
I love this
Mr.
foreshadowing moment. It's great.
Mr. Jude decides to stop and pick up this glass.
Yeah.
Consequences, right? Everything he does has a consequence. So he
Mhm.
picks up this glass. Look, it's a glass. The way this is done,
Vegas.
yeah, it really, here we are. We see this
It's
big, huge bear. He's whispering to his voice. Like,
Well,
"Hey,
I
let's be
love the page
careful."
before where it's like there's birds going around the corner like,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh
he's just
sure.
like, there's something around this corner, and they just see this mass of black that blocks the entire, and the birds are eating it. It's gross. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then
Right.
he's just
Yeah.
like, and if you look at the first panel of the next page, that bear goes across the entire
The
road.
entire road. Right.
So you either have to turn around and go back, or do what they did and try to sneak over this thing.
Freaking
And
Jew.
this is kind of the big moment that reveals how this world works, because we
Mm.
saw wolves and we saw the zombie hand, but this is a carcass of a bear. You know what I mean? In most
Mhm.
zombie books, this thing is just dead and being eaten. It should never stand up. But that's why
Right.
they're trying to be quiet. There's so many, like the second panel of that first page where he's guiding her feet over the bear. Her feet are hitting the fur
Oh,
as they go over. And then they have this moment of reprieve, like, oh, thank God.
yeah.
And she trips on this dilapidated road. They're both tired from being up fighting those damn wolves last night. And out pops this glass.
And
It
there's the damn
crashes.
glass.
It's Jude's fault. He
Right.
stopped to pick up that
To pick up the
glass.
glass. Consequences, right? Yeah,
And
that's what we're
now
talking
there are
about.
major consequences to his minor decisions. And
Yeah.
that's how this world is.
And look, you can see
Major.
through the freaking like the
Through
way
there.
he drew this.
I don't know how that would sound.
Right.
Fleshy, wet,
Oh, right.
weird
right.
rattling, a
Yeah,
roar.
And this
because
dude
it's
is
like,
moving.
ooh,
He's
and he
moving.
could run. Mhm.
Look at him. He's moving. And then
The untimely death of Prince.
oh, Prince.
But that's really the only way you get away from Big James is
Oh.
that he's fixated on something else. And now in issue number 3, you see the kind of origin story of Big James, and he got shot through the head. So part of his brain was affected. He could no longer control. Like he's just stuck in rage. That's
I
a
mean,
rage bear.
and what you've done, I mean, if you love like
Animals.
Prince, I mean, what the bear has done to look like just like a pool
He's
of blood.
gone.
I mean, so okay, so is she dead?
Well, she's undead,
She's undead now. You know what I mean? Like, so
but
they
we
may-
don't see her.
right. She may come back.
You
There's
might
hope
see
for
her
us.
again.
There's hope for us.
But wait, go back up. The
Yes.
thing that hits so much harder in color, because we were talking about this, because
Yes.
originally we produced this in black and white.
I will
That
show
last
you.
panel on the page on the right where he's talking into the blood pool, that's
Yes.
her star from her head
Ooh,
floating in the blood pool.
oof. Wow.
That hits so much harder in color where he's just devastated. That was his one friend. That was the person that he
Right.
would talk to person horse that he would talk to keep himself sane. You know what I mean?
Correct,
Because
correct.
otherwise you go crazy by
Yeah.
yourself in this
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
And at
No,
least he
for sure.
owns it where it's like, this is my fault.
Right.
But that doesn't stop him from picking up the pieces. And
Yeah.
he's
He's
determined.
got to go on. Yeah, he's got to
He
move
is
on.
determined. He says goodbye. He picks up his hat and he says, "You better be worth it, Dwayne Fink."
Yeah. And this is I like the way it's done. You know, I mean, you know, you have 1, 2, 3, and I'm counting panels because that's it's a comic book. 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in 8 panels. I mean, really well done. I think he did a really good job.
Art
And
bill.
then
Yeah.
and then we move on again. And he's doing this with this
Uh-huh.
on the side, which is even more impressive. And not just the writing, obviously the writing is great, but the way he was able to break all that down. And as he's walking away, you're left with the star
Consequences.
as he's walking away.
Yeah.
You
And
better
but
be
look where he's
walking.
going. He's going into Santa Claus, and it says right there, no deads.
No deads. Yeah.
So it's kind of foreshadowing the community he's going into. And it's like,
You
again,
see
there's a
it.
hierarchy.
Yeah.
There's different communities out there, some that are accepting and some that are not of the undead or of strangers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No,
Jude is kind
that's
of an anomaly in that way where he's kind and helpful but then again, yeah, stupid glass. Uh-huh.
stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Stupid. That was
Oh,
dumb. But Jude
man.
does dumb stuff from time to time because he's human.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and listen, it's again, it's one of those things. Like when I read it, the fact that you are unapologetic about what you do with the story is what keeps us coming back to read it, because you don't like pull any punches. Like she's got to go. Like you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's one of those things. And now you were talking about how you guys were obviously before the campaign launched and everything like that.
Oh,
You had
God.
worked some of the stuff in black and white, and
Yes.
this is a throwback, man. Because I remember, and I'm gonna look through it a little bit, but I'm going to stop at a certain page because we want to talk about that page. But let
Yes.
me share this with everyone here. This is what the book looked like before the funds were all there to make it happen.
Right. So, and I mean, like when you're launching your very first issue as a very first time writer, you know
Yep.
what I mean? It's like you
Mhm.
have no idea how things are going to go. You might hope and you might pray for
Right.
expectations, but again, what you think will happen and what usually happens are two different things. And so we came into this issue with the intention of doing it in black and white.
Mhm.
I almost did it in black, white, and blood, where the blood was there, but then you find out that even though you're printing in mostly black and white, that you
It's
still
still going
pay
to cost you.
the color
Yeah,
charge.
it's going to cost you the same thing. You might as well color it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This cover, was this the concept
All
behind this
Marco.
cover? This was Marco. Is this painted? Like how do you what
No,
do
it's
you know what the
digital.
medium?
He did digital. I think he does most everything digitally. He can do traditional. I've seen him ink because Marco and I are in the same state, and a lot of times we're at cons together. So he can work traditionally, but this is definitely this was digital, but this was all his idea. The whole idea was the
That's
shattered
great.
glass, the
Yes.
consequences to your decisions. That's what this issue 1 is. Understanding how dangerous this world is and how minor decisions have major consequences. Plus,
Yeah.
Marco did this really cool thing, and I don't think he even realized it, but reflections. So there's reflections on
Right.
the blood pools. There's reflections on the glass that he picks up. There's
Mhm.
reflections of what's happening to Prince in Jude's eye as
All
Big
right.
James is mauling her. So there's a lot of different reflections that are going on.
Yeah.
And so even here, the broken glass is a reflection of the world. We have Jude and Prince. We have undead people. We have that threat. We have a disc. So, the living versus the dead, it's all there and shattered into a million pieces. The world is broken. Death is
Yeah,
broken.
I was looking at there's a quote that I really like. I was reading a book on comics. Paul Sayre is a graphic designer from New
Yeah.
York who's done a lot of work for a lot of major magazines, and he says something about a cover that I think is very important, and we should all remember this all the time when we're creating these covers. A cover must differentiate itself on comic book racks filled with colorful artwork. Right?
Hard.
It has to create anticipation, which this does, right? Because when you look at this cover, like what the heck? It has to create anticipation. It has to grab your attention, which again, you see this face here on the left. Oh, I can't stop looking at it, dude. Like,
Yeah.
so it must definitely grab your attention and set the stage for the story that follows. Right. And I think that's what this is doing, because this moment on this cover is the moment that basically changes everything for
Yeah, for
him,
Jude.
right?
Yep.
For him, because now, if he thought he was alone before, now
He's really alone. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful image. It's a great cover. I mean, it's
Thank
really,
you.
really
Yeah,
well
Marco.
done. Yeah.
I'll always have as long as he has time for me, I will always have a Marco DeFeo cover
Oh yeah.
for all my issues. He and I
Yeah.
talked about that. I was like, I know you're tied up doing
Yes.
other books and interiors. Now, this has changed. So
Really?
you have something here. This is meaningful. This symbol, you're going to
Mhm.
see parts of it show up in different places, but I changed this to something different. So, of course, issue 1 is so important to explain the world. So what we did is we changed this. So now the interior, the first page before you open it up to the double, is a journal entry from Jude St. Clair. And we went back and we changed that in issue 1. So it tells you what day the apocalypse started, and it explains more about how things work. What did I put? Everything has changed. I woke up this morning and the world is fundamentally different. People who are very clearly dead are still walking and talking as if they are themselves. How is that possible? Their gray eyes are just as confused as mine. What happened?
Damn.
And so this got an update just to explain a little better, because I'm trying to, and again, in a movie, it's like, it's that opening scene where you're a little confused, but then it very quickly tells you what happens. But that's issue 2. See what I mean?
Right.
We
Yeah.
didn't want
No,
there
I
to be
got
any
you.
confusion about the undead and how they work. So that's why we changed it. But this means something.
And everything means something in your book. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of the book. Everything means
Yep.
something. Yeah, I just want to say,
Sure.
what's going on, Seabass? So Lou says silly sentimental humans.
Sorry. I play on
And
your sentimentality. Hey, Pops.
what up, Pops? People eat
Eat
soylent
Soylent Green living
soup.
soup.
So okay,
That's
so
that's only in
this
the Choose Your Own Path.
this symbol, which is also a good book, this symbol here. So without,
Mhm.
if you tell me what these things are, will you be spoiling anything?
I'm not telling you what these are. Sorry.
You're not going to tell me. That's fine.
Now
And-
you have seen the bottom right. You have seen the top one
Okay.
as well
Well,
somewhere.
I asked that because, and I didn't realize I was going to get my hand slapped. But I asked that because I asked it because in issue number 5, you use it on the cover, and the
Mhm.
5 is on top here. That's why I asked. But
Yeah, that's our
don't tell me
new
anything.
numbering system, and 1 and 2 don't have that, but 3, 4, and 5 do.
Okay.
So you're going to get different symbols the further
Laurie,
we go,
there's so
depending on the
much.
story. There is meaning to these, and like I said, if you pay attention, these are in the book. The bottom one, the bottom right one, you'll see more prevalent. That top one has been introduced. That bottom left one, no.
Jesus.
So there's something to these 3.
How many? Okay, so how many issues is this in
So
total?
okay, so the first movie, the first script that I wrote, we broke it into 12.
12.
But there's 3 movies, so there's 36 issues.
36 issues. So now, how much of this, for example, this gets answered in the first 12? Any? No? Any chance?
Well, I foreshadow.
Okay.
You've already seen things in 4
Okay.
about this, and you will see things in 5 about this, but then you got to wait until 13.
Oh, you are evil.
But
Okay.
that's
Okay.
what's the fun about it is in
I know.
13 you understand what this is, and then when you go back to the first 12 and you read issue 4 and 5, it takes on a new meaning because of this. Because
Gotcha.
once you know what's actually happening, because again, you're seeing the story from Jude St. Clair's point of view, and
Right.
he doesn't know.
Mm.
But in 13,
Okay.
he does. So what's happening is something other than what he's experiencing. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, there's just so much to unpack.
There's a lot.
Um,
It's a big story, and there's a lot
It
to it.
is.
And I've because again, it's from 2018. I put a lot of work into it before we published in 2022. So
But you know
lot
what?
there.
What I love about it too is in 4 years you're able to kind of like get this, get the story out that makes sense. I mean, because it's hard to do something this big and not
Yeah.
have it fall apart.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
it
why I'm
just
like, the script is the script. People are like, you ever
Right.
change things based off of things that Marco draws? And I'm
I
like,
feel like you can.
no, because I'm so
Right.
far ahead.
Right.
can't change
you
it.
couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't. Even if you wanted to, you can't.
You can't,
You know what I
because
mean?
it'll
Yeah.
change everything for later.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm so far ahead. And it's like, it's such a specific thing. And like I said, I've thought of all the loopholes. The loopholes are closed. And so you can't really monkey around too much in there.
Right.
You can
Right.
move around in the world and create stories, but you're not
Sure.
going to really change anything.
Right. No, absolutely. So this page
This
here
page.
is very significant because,
It seems-
obviously in a lot of, like, when it comes to comics, we all get busy, including artists, right? And sometimes you got to
Yeah.
pass the torch.
Sometimes you gotta pass the torch.
Sometimes you got to, and that's what this. And I'm gonna leave this page here, but I do want to. What is this?
So
People
this is
still.
page 1 of
do
issue
people
1.
still- Do
Need
people
to
still need to have a will?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Because it depends on how you die. Sometimes, like, let's say you die in your sleep. You could be fine the next morning and you could tell them, like, all right, this is how I want you to deal with things. But what if your head gets run over by a car? You're still there and you're super chaotic, but you
Jesus.
can't communicate no more. You probably can't make words. Although I think murder rates would go way down.
All right. What's the point?
Because you'd be like, he did it.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So
Get it.
Pops, when it comes to protecting the story, it will be like interviewing Karen.
There's only a
She
handful
will
of
give
people.
you nothing and you'll
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, there's only a handful of people that know what happened, and they're sworn to secrecy because I carry knives.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Walked out.
Dante was here for a second, muttered something about meds and walked out.
Bye, Dante. See you later.
Later, Dante. So no, okay, and it's funny that you bring that up. So when it comes to working with an artist, right?
Mhm.
You can't keep anything from them. They have to know pretty much everything
They
that has to
sign
do with the story.
NDAs before they're
Yeah,
brought on.
right. But
Yeah.
they have to know because you can't keep anything from them. You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? Because they're
Correct.
drawing the story, and they need
Correct.
to. If they did want to incorporate certain things, like what Marco did, if he didn't want to take some of those liberties, he has to know what he's getting himself into.
Correct. He
Can't
has to
just
know
do
the
that.
ins and outs of the world and
He
how things
does.
work.
He
So he needs
does.
to know what happened with death in order for it to, if he were to do something quirky, he would need to understand. Otherwise, it'd be like that's not, that breaks the rules. You have to take it out, right?
Right.
So
Right.
Gilbert, when he came on, he started working on number 5, and he had all sorts of questions. And I was like, before you ask questions, read the script,
Right.
read it. And
Right.
so he took 2 days, and he and his wife, I gave him permission, of course, to read it with his wife, who's super cool, by the way. Shout out to Karina.
Karina.
And they read the script, and they were just blown away by it. And he was like, how far does this go? You know, like, where are we going? And he's like, how am I going to draw all this crazy stuff from your brain? You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, he's in on the whole scoop. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Now, this is now. How do you feel when you look at these pages, Laurie? Because this was the original. This is like the OG book. Like, this is
Yeah.
before the colors. Before this was just you. I want to put the story out. Draw the book for me. Can we do it black and white? Here we go. It's out. And this was your first Kickstarter. This is 2022
Yes.
first Kickstarter. How do you feel, man? Like when you look at these pages, you're like, damn.
Nostalgic.
Right?
Because we were so proud of what we had put out. You know
That's
what I
amazing,
mean?
dude.
And I knew that the further we went, we would look back at this and be like, oh, we can do better. And that happened, of course.
Of course.
And so
Yeah.
we remastered, we colored, and I re-lettered this. Now,
Yeah.
I didn't ask Marco to change anything because Marco's inks are immaculate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but looking back at this, it just brings back that first Kickstarter, the feeling, the emotion, the hard work, the self-doubt, the imposter
Sure.
syndrome, all of that.
All of it.
You know what I
All of it.
mean?
All of it. Yeah. And now you were talking about how in the story, Jude was exhausted by the time the end
Yes.
of the
Well,
book.
here's
And
the moment.
this
He's
is
up
part of the moment, right? This is what it is. Yeah.
fighting off wolves in the middle of the night, and
Right.
he and Prince are awake, and then the next morning they are tired.
They're tired. And
They're
this is the town
family.
or the family that they run into,
Yeah.
which is a
That's my
very nice
sister.
moment.
She got drawn into the comic. She did the
Oh.
immortality tier on her first campaign. And
Oh,
so she got
sweet.
drawn in as a major character.
Nice.
Yeah. It's just a
Wow.
random little girl, though. That's nobody. But
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask, is that
super
niece?
cute. I know, because I have 2 girls. So people are like, is this one of your daughters? I was like, no.
Oh,
I just,
okay. Yeah,
that's
she is super
Marco's
cute.
drawn cute kids. He's good at that. So,
Yeah.
but look, he's like, oh, this, she's named after a warrior woman named Diana Prince. Like, he lets her
Right.
in on the secret. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Well, that's nice.
she giggles and, oh, Prince, and off they go. She
Off
gives him
they
some
go.
water, and it's get the heck out of here.
And
And
here we
people
go.
were like, why was she so rude? And I'm like, because anybody could come up on her farm,
Yeah, of course. Think
steal her
about that.
kids, steal her
Yeah.
food, kill them all. Like that shit's going down. Sorry.
Undead her child. You know what I mean? Like,
Undead anybody, anything.
know what I'm
Steal their
saying?
food, they could die of starvation. Like anything could
Yeah.
happen, right?
Anything
And
can
so people are
happen.
like, man, F her,
Well
she's so rude. And I'm like,
well,
I
think
would be that way.
Well, think about when the pandemic happened, right?
Yes.
Anybody sneezed around you, you were like, what the hell are they
Mhm.
doing here?
Mhm.
Anybody coughed around you,
Get
what
outta
the
here.
hell is that person doing outside? How
Yeah.
dare, you know what I mean? Like,
Bye.
that was the attitude. So of course she would be rude to
Right.
St. Clair. He's lucky he's lucky the little girl, or what did they get? I think she gave him a carrot or something, right?
Well,
Didn't she give-
she's younger than 10.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is her life.
This is her
She
reality.
doesn't know what she's missing.
This is her
And someone
reality.
else had mentioned they're not wearing discs. And I said, you're right. They're
Mhm.
not.
Mhm.
She doesn't have one. And well, and then they break. So if the mom is not traveling anywhere and she's not expecting to be harassed by collectors, there's no point of her wearing one. She
This-
wouldn't wear one.
Right. Masks. Not everybody was wearing masks.
You're at
all the
home,
time,
take
right?
it off.
You're at home, you take it off. Right, exactly.
Jude is traveling, and he comes into a lot of people in situations where he might have to prove that he's living. And so that's his
Correct.
first kind of defense is you see Jude did this a lot. Tap and then hands up.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah,
"Ah,
yeah. But
I'm
but
alive.
it's
Don't sue me."
interesting that the parallels between the story, like I say, art imitates life.
Yeah.
In this case, it's almost like life imitated art because
It
you
was
did
scary.
create it in 2018. So none of that had happened
Mhm.
yet. You know what I mean? So
My
yeah,
sister told me to stop writing.
right,
She was
right.
like, "Lori, I need you to
Wow.
stop writing." She's like,
Yeah,
"If more
'cause
of your story comes true, we're screwed." And I was like,
right.
"I don't know what to tell you. It's already on paper."
Yeah, it's already on paper. Sorry.
Already on
So,
paper. We are.
so the pages that we saw in color, here they are in black
Yeah.
and white with the. But you know what? It doesn't lose the effect. Like, look at the glass, like the way he drew the glass, like the
Yeah.
detail in the glass. You know what I mean? Even though it's not colored, there's his reflection. We were talking about reflections.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
There's
yeah,
Las
no,
Vegas. I
yeah.
found these glasses. They're real glasses.
Did you?
I did. And then with the
Mm,
campaign for the trade paperback, people could pledge and get glasses. So there are people with these glasses out there. I have one. So these glasses are
cool,
real. So you could
cool,
have like Jude St. Clair's Las Vegas glass. Just
nice.
don't shatter it and wake up the
Don't
bears.
shatter. Yeah, exactly. Here's the. I mean,
Birds.
everything holds up in the black, even in the black and white. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I mean, the color obviously is going to enhance things,
Yeah.
but but also the color could kill some of this line work, and it actually
Sometimes.
doesn't. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
There
not
it is.
Marco's stuff. I
Oh,
mean,
he drew the crash. I thought you did
I
that.
drew it.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, he drew the full panel with the glass crashing, and I put the SFX over it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, gotcha, gotcha. There's the roar.
That page will live in
Look at
infamy,
that. Jesus. His
right?
face, his facial expression
Oh,
is freaking
shit.
is dope. Yeah,
Jude
right.
Jude gets that face a lot, like, "Ooh,
Nice. And here we
time to
go.
run."
We're off to the races.
Yeah.
There's the
Can't outrun
slash.
him, can't climb, can't swim.
Dude, like
There's a cliff.
his drawing, man. Like Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
dude. Like this is really, really good, man.
And that's the panel where it's like it's Jude's eyeball,
Right.
but you see the reflection of Big James roaring in his
Yeah,
eyeball as he goes unconscious.
that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. And then he doesn't know what's happened until he hits the road. Gasp.
Yep.
Page turn. Boom.
There's the smear. See what I mean? Like it's good
Mhm.
there, but the red on that page really made a difference.
Right. Yeah, because you
Because
can't
here it's like
tell.
it's lost. It looks like it's a piece
Yeah,
of Jude instead of Prince's star floating in the blood pool.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he's off. And this is and this is and again, you change the lettering.
I did update the lettering because I learned I broke a lot of rules.
And then you have your stuff at the end of the thing, social
Yep.
media links, Twitter. This is when Twitter was still Twitter. Look at that. This is how
Yeah, it
far
was
back
still
it goes.
Twitter. Mhm.
Yeah. And then this is something
The
that
first riddle.
this is the first riddle.
It's
Yeah,
not
man.
everybody. People still haven't solved this.
Yeah. Wow. Wait, let me so I wanted to show
That's blue.
that's freaking awesome, man. Walking down memory lane like that.
Yeah.
I got one
Did
of
I ever
these.
tell you
He
about
says.
Jude's name?
No, tell me about Jude's name.
He didn't have a name when I finished the script. He was Hero. Hero, hero,
Really?
hero. I didn't have a name for him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do the dead but not dead need oxygen, food, water, and the likes?
Nope.
They do not.
Nope.
Okay.
They do
So
not.
wait, going back to Hero. So you didn't have a name for him? Like you kind of like just came up with this story and there was no name to the main
He was
character?
he was himself, like his personality traits were there. I just had no name for him that was fitting.
So how did you come
Um,
up with the name? What happened?
the Beatles song. Hey
Hey Jude.
Jude,
Da, da,
don't
da, da.
take it bad. Yeah.
Mhm.
Listen
Ah,
to that song.
okay, I will.
Also, I like to name things for other reasons too. So if you know Path of the Pale Rider is the fourth horseman of the apocalypse, death. The Path of the Pale Rider also has to do with where did death go and Western movies, right?
Mhm.
Because Clint Eastwood was in a movie called Pale Rider. So there's multiple meanings there. And so Saint Jude is the patron saint of lost causes.
There you go. Wow.
Saint Claire is another saint, but I'm not going to tell you what she's the saint of.
Now we're gonna have to Google.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Listen, we're giving too much away. Okay, I know this is a deep
Not-
dive. This is a deep dive into the story, which I think we're going in. This is, I mean, we're deep into it already.
Yeah, we're deep.
I did want to show one more thing. Well, not one more thing. I have a couple more things before we have to go. But this is cool. I want to show this. This is some of the behind the scenes stuff that I love to see.
This was cool. There's some
So-
stuff that people haven't seen before.
Right.
This is Big James by David Rodriguez. David Rodriguez is an artist that was involved in Path of the Pale Rider in 2020, January. So
wow.
we had started production before the pandemic. And then when the pandemic hit, everything got really difficult for everybody. And then we had to stop production. And so David Rodriguez is the one that came up with the disc design. This is his Big James. He has a Jude St. Clair. He actually designed the poker deck.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I still have him involved from time to time. I'll call him up, be like, "What you doing?" This Big James is by Jose Martinez, who's a friend of mine. I brought him in to color David's work when the pandemic was getting hard, and then like a tree fell on his house. We were cursed.
Oh my
We were cursed.
God.
Like David was in an apartment. First, the ceiling collapsed in their
I love
apartment
this.
from water, and then there was a shooting in the building next door.
Oh my
And then
God.
Jose they all had COVID like 3 times, and then a tree fell on their house. So I was like, I
What?
think someone is telling me to stop.
Oh my God.
We
dude.
stopped. So, but that's the second version of Big James. And if you love it, I love all the maggots coming out of his eyeball.
Yeah. No, it's freaking awesome. This
His
is
tongue is ripped. His lip is just bones are out. Yeah.
This is cool. Yeah, the bones. Yeah, this is awesome.
Mhm.
Then you have this guy
And
right
now we
here.
have this is Marcos, Big James.
This cute teddy bear.
Yeah, which is actually that's the one we used for the plushie.
Right. Yeah.
Was Marcos. OG. The canon, right? I would say it's canon because that's the one that was published first. So.
Yeah, this is it. Oh, and this is cool. I
Now
like
this is Jude St. Clair by David Rodriguez. So this was his first sketch of Jude, swept back hair and a beard. Like Jude has always had a beard, right? And has green eyes. I don't think Jude has green eyes in the book. I think Marco made him have brown eyes, but in the original script, he had green eyes.
Green eyes. Okay.
Mhm.
Who did you base that look on? Anybody in particular?
He's a little what did I tell David? I was like Clint Eastwood meets Chris Evans.
Okay, I see that.
down
Yeah,
there.
yeah. When Chris Evans had the beard and he,
Yeah.
I see it.
It's like the scruffy Captain America
Yes.
from one of the Endgame ones. And then this
Yes.
is the first time that Marco
This is
drew
cool.
Jude, all the different expressions, and then with the apocalypse gear. And this was where I was like, "You're hired."
Yeah.
Like, because he had read the script, and I was like, "Can you just do some just doodles of Jude so I know you understand what I'm looking for?" And I was just like, "You're hired. Take my money."
Yes.
Get your
seriously.
page rate, great. Don't even just take my money.
Yeah.
So
And then these were some of the
now
pages.
this
This is the new
is
stuff.
Gilbert.
This
Yes.
is Gilbert.
This
Yeah,
is
the
Gilbert.
new stuff. Yeah. This is
And
cool.
so this is actually in issue number 5 when Jude puts on his apocalypse gear for the first time. So this is where we are in the story. We're catching up in time.
Right.
And Jude is now the Jude that we met in the first issue. He's fully decked out in his hero gear. It's like, how they have like their first Iron Man, he puts on the suit and he has his hero moment.
I think of Rambo. You know what I mean? When he's putting all the
he's tied
stuff.
his like
with the-
thing on.
yeah.
That's
is it.
this.
Nice. Threw on the hat.
So,
Let's move. Now,
mhm.
what are these guys? What's this guy right here?
This is actually David Rodriguez panels.
Oh, okay.
Him and Prince having the conversation before they go have the run-in with Big James. So he's like, "Okay, but we'll have to be quiet." He's putting the shoes on the horse, and she
All
neighs, and
right.
off they go.
Interesting, like how 2 different artists
Can see
see
something.
that page completely different, you know?
Yeah. It was just
And then-
interesting to me. And then this is Marco's process. So this is actually stage 2 of his process where he's thumbnailed and he's laying out the pages, and then he'll put like references for the camera angles he wants.
This is cool.
Sometimes I'll send him reference photos of things that catch my eye, and then he'll put them together. And
Yeah,
then
this is
like
cool.
on the left is his process. So I thought I would share that because it's just interesting to me.
Yeah, no, it's freaking awesome. I love thumbnails. I
Mm-hmm.
love to see. Sometimes the thumbnails, you're like, just trace that. That's perfect. Don't change
Mm-hmm.
that. Trace that, and let's make that happen because it looks so good.
This is issue 4.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the few final pages of issue 4 because that's Lola like, good luck, Jude. Wink.
Oh, right. Right.
And then he runs into the mysterious man on the road.
This is
The
cool.
mysterious man with the snake fangs on his mask that
Yeah.
was in the riot is
Right.
there.
Okay.
And it gives Jude that weird feeling. All his hairs stand up on his neck. And he's like, what is that? Not who is that?
What is that?
What is that? And then
And
he's
this
like,
is
well, I'm walking
and
off
this
into the
is
distance.
him walking
There it
away
is.
again.
Now,
Yeah.
now this is actually the panel from issue 1, but when Marco did issue 4, he drew Jude in as he was in issue 4, walking off into the distance. So we knew that was going to be the last page of the trade paperback. So it's kind of coming full circle from issue 1
Right.
to issue 4. That's how we're ending issue 4, as Jude again walking off into his fate. He's on the path. So
That's freaking awesome. That's freaking awesome. And then I did want a little quick sneak peek into.
I took the letters out.
Yes, you did. So I'm let me just go in here and do that. But yeah, no, I think the process, the process is freaking it's awesome, man. Like just the when you break everything down like that, it's like, damn, all the work that goes into putting these things together. So this is issue number 5. Okay. Now, obviously, if you pledge to it, wait, we did the campaign?
Campaign's over.
You're moving, and I'm like, yeah, that's right. That campaign is done.
The campaign is done. It's with my editor at the moment, so she's going to have us tweak a few things. She's working on it. Actually, she was sending me texts while we were on the show, so I'll have stuff to do. So this week we should be editing, and then hopefully next week we go to print. So that's the goal, is to go to, obviously if not next week, then as soon as possible. We want to go to print. We want to get people their books. We were anticipating the end of October. Gilbert had a few extra things that were on his plate that he didn't anticipate taking as much time. So, but those are done, and he's not picking up new contracts. So it's going to change in 2025. We're going to be quicker. When we launch in February, we will have a majority of the comic book done.
I love that.
So
love that. This is just Lou said, do dead magnets remain dead? I don't feel like they become dead flies.
What do you mean dead magnets?
I think she said magnets. Magnets? I don't know.
Maggots?
Maggots,
dead maggots? Oh, no,
maggots?
they would not become flies. Things don't continue to grow once they're undead.
They don't evolve.
They won't evolve. Like butterflies that are dead in the cocoon just are sludge. Undead children remain as undead children.
Ooh.
They don't grow.
Right. So this is page. I mean, this is the cover.
That's the cover
for the next book here, and this is what I was talking about.
Maggots.
The symbol.
Maggots. So that's our numbering system. But yes, that symbol is there.
Yeah, it's there. That's why I noticed it before. So here he is. Here's the debut of the new art team.
Gilbert, yeah. So the rest of the team is the same. Matt Chambers is still coloring, and I'm still lettering, and our editor is Rachel Bullock. But Gilbert brings his own style to the book. So it's different, but it's not bad. It's really good. And Gilbert brings a dynamic that Marco didn't have. So you're going to enjoy it. I enjoy it. You will too. Think twice about having kids for lots of reasons, Lou. Yeah. Kids in the apocalypse. But there's Prince. We've seen
she's back.
How they meet. Well, for a short period of time. We all know what happens in the future. I don't make you relive it, I promise.
So here they are. They're off. They're being chased again.
Yeah, but as you can see, like, again, they have experience getting away from undead things. So the bear wasn't that really a big deal to them until it was.
Right.
So, but here's Jude picking a lock.
Here he is. Now notice he's not wearing his gear. He's just wearing.
He doesn't have his gear yet.
Right. Yeah.
But he finds it here.
There he is. He's about to go.
Here he is. So he's like, there's a mannequin in there. He gets the rest of his stuff. So he was picking it up along the way.
Right.
And now
right.
I took the letters out of this because there's things going on.
Yes. Yes. So he's moving on there. He's out into the world. And this
Now
is
we
the cool
skipped
moment.
quite a few pages. Now this is the
Yeah.
page that I love
Yeah. This is a cool
because
moment.
here we are again at the beginning. So now we have
Yes.
effectively, we have caught up in time. This is the same
Correct.
2 panels from page 1 of issue 1 that we're seeing again, and Jude is moving through them. So we are now in current time.
So this is what I want to show. So this is done by
Been done 3 times, right?
right. So
Because it's
this
been done
is
black and white and then colored
correct.
by Matt for issue 1 and now back in issue 5.
Right. So this is Gilbert, right? This is Gilbert's
This is
work.
Gilbert. So
All right.
he did what I asked him to do, which was just put Marco's stuff there and then
Right.
draw it with your pencil. You know what I mean?
Right. So let me
So-
show. So that was Gilbert. This
Here's
is
my tears. Yeah, that's Marco.
this is Marco. So basically, like you said, he in order for it to match, he put Marco's pages behind, drew
Yeah.
right over it, so
Drew
that
right
you
over it.
have the same exact image for the
Yep.
new book, so that it comes full circle. Very cool.
Lou,
Very
you
cool.
are correct. There is no bear spray that will work on Big James. It's just if you meet that
It's
bear
too
on the
tough.
road and he is
It's
awake,
over. It's over.
you better trip somebody
It's over. Yeah, it's it.
because that's the only way you're getting away. Because he
It's
forgets
done.
about you.
So then this is so now we're back to him telling
Yeah. So
You
here's
know,
Dwayne Fink, right? That's where we left the present time, was in the
Correct.
jail cell with Dwayne. And Dwayne claims he knows what started the apocalypse. And so here they have that conversation about what he thinks and what they're going to do next. And look, ching ching, off they go.
got some keys, buddy, and you are out. Excellent.
Mhm.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
And then what happens after that is nuts. And I'm sorry.
Oh, listen, I'm so looking forward to seeing the rest of what you got planned. And like I'm sure you're excited. I'm sure like
I am.
you know
Because every time we move forward an issue, it gets crazier. And I keep saying that. And it's like with the riots in issue 4 and like all the things that fell apart in issue 3, it's like we get into 5 and it's a mess. And then 6 and then 7. George, 7 is my favorite.
really?
Of this first 12.
What
It's
happens in 7?
the
Don't tell
most
me.
action, it's a huge reveal about some of the things we've been talking about that Jude he has to make a decision. He makes that decision and he's there in it. And you don't know if he's going to get out or not.
Oh boy.
It's fabulous. It's a huge moment. It's huge. And I'm actually contemplating how much I show in the Kickstarter. Like I might
Right.
blur out pieces of the variant covers because I want you to know nothing going
Right.
into this issue.
So take me back to like you writing the story, right? Like obviously the first and you didn't write it in issues. It wasn't written in issues. How did you
Right.
write it? Did you write it in scene? Like again, obviously you had your
Scenes.
your cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But beyond the cards, were you the scenes, how were they popping into your head? Like where at some point did you get stuck and you were like, what am I gonna do with this? Like, did you ever feel overwhelmed by the story? Like, what was the experience and the process like of writing
It
this
flowed.
complicated story?
Oh God, is it complicated? It flowed so naturally
It
just
did.
out of my brain because I did all the world building first. Where it
Okay.
was like, here's how this is how people would react. We'd be all over the map. There'd be different communities. This is how, they would treat people in this type of community, this type of community. This is how the government would fall apart. This is the things they would do beforehand. This is how we would deal with the undead. And so once I had all the rules, the history kind of built itself. And then Jude just had to walk through the world on his path to figure it out. I got stuck at the end
You did.
because I wasn't sure. And I was like, you know what? I was beating myself up over how much information I revealed in that issue 12. And it did it. And I rewrote it and I rewrote it and I rewrote it. And I finally got to the point where I was happy with it because then it immediately led into issue number 13. And when I say that the first 12, the first arc is crazy, second arc is 100% more crazy.
Hmm.
I double it.
You double it.
And it starts with issue 13. Like, there's a huge reveal right off the jump in 13. Like, because here you are thinking you understand the way the world works because you figured out what happened with death.
Right. Oh, okay. And
Right.
then
Because you
and
figure that
then
out in 9. So then 10, 11, 12 is them trying to resolve that.
gotcha. Gotcha. Damn.
And then
And
13, I
even
blow up
then
all your expectations again.
and you take us all the way to 36.
And we're going to get there. So I've written up to 21 is finalized, 22, 23, 24. I'm playing with those because there is a giant battle that happens. So I was researching like what makes battles memorable. Like, is it the scenery? Is the what drives a battle? It's the decisions that your characters make as things are unraveling. So like good battles to watch is Battle of the Bastards in Game of Thrones.
That's a good one.
The car chases in Mad Max Fury Road. And then Pirates of the Caribbean with one with where they bring back, what's her name? The big giant lady, and then she turns into the Maelstrom, and it's the 3 ships going around the Maelstrom. That battle, those are the 3 that I studied to craft this battle. Okay. So I'm fine-tuning it. But it's there. It's just a matter of how do I want Gilbert to tell the story. Right.
Right.
And then on the third arc, I know the beginning and I know the end because that's how it starts. But I have to fill in the blanks of how we get to that ending. But there is an ending. Like there's always been this ending.
Yeah. But so that's not written. The ending isn't written yet.
The end is written. Well, I don't have it on
is.
paper. That one's in my head
That's what I
because
mean.
it's
That's what
so
I mean.
secret. There's only one other person that knows that ending, and that's Gilbert. I filled him in on the ending, but nobody else knows it.
Okay. Now, at any point, have you ever thought about, maybe it doesn't need to be 36. Maybe I can tell it in 30. Maybe I can tell it in 28.
Well, here's the thing. I want to tell the story how I want to tell the story, but if I tell it in bigger issues, maybe instead of 24 pages, I tell it in 48 pages. So instead of 12, it's 6. It's the same story, just fatter books. I'm okay with that. It just depends on the funding. It takes me,
it does. It's
financials obligation. I got to pay these people what they're worth because they're absolutely worth it. And so you just have to get there. So if we start doing massive Kickstarters, yeah, man, I'll get more story out quicker. What if the ending breaks?
What if the ending
Now, the sad thing is, Lou, is if I don't put it on paper and I die,
oh,
then you guys will never know how it ends.
Well, Gilbert, we'll have to ask Gilbert.
You have to ask Gilbert.
We'll have to ask Gilbert. He's like,
he won't be able to tell you how to get to that ending.
Right. True.
He knows how it ends.
I did want to share one more thing before we wrap up, and the reason why I want to share this is because I've always admired not just the way you've written the story, but your dedication to the story and how you've figured ways to make it as interactive as possible, using the medium to make it as interactive as possible, whether it's with your videos, your riddles, your whatever it is you're doing on a Kickstarter
book.
Choose your own adventure
Yeah.
book. You did something in issue number 2 that when I read it, I was like, dude, freaking Laurie, this is freaking amazing. And this is it right here. So this page is about to kick off a major fight between this character here who's talking a lot of crap.
Oh, yeah. They were talking crap. Let's just be honest. They were playing poker. Jude lost all his money. And the guy's like, get out of town right now.
Right.
He's like,
so
nowhere to go. It's a giant bear down that road.
So in movies, when you have a scene like that, the score will put you in that moment, whether it's with the music, it gets that they're about to fight. And then a lot of the times during a big fight, you have like music, maybe that will be in the background, like doing your thing. So you wrote music here.
Well, it's a song.
It's a company, right? It's a song,
right? I didn't write it's not my original music, but I transcribed the song, just a few panels of it onto the comic, thinking that it would be cool and that people would go look it up. No, people were like, "Is it Happy Birthday?" And I was like,
"What does that say? Like, what does that say?"
Yeah.
Now,
so I put the QR
what was the
code.
next best thing?
Yeah.
There you go.
So if
And
you
this
scan
was
the
the
QR
coolest
code, it
thing.
goes to the music.
Yes. So what I did was when I was reading this book, and this thing works, trust me, because I did it. So if you guys are watching, pull up the QR code to this thing, because then we go into the, and I don't think I can play it here anyway. You probably get a strike or whatever. But the fight starts. And as this fight is going, if you scan the QR code, the music is playing on your phone as you're watching this thing go down. And it was the coolest thing, Laurie. Like I was like, what that? Like this was what issue 2 was what in 20 still 22, right? Because you did
I think we kickstarted in 2022 and it printed early 2023, like January.
right. This is something that I hadn't seen, and I don't think people still don't do this with QR codes as much in comics.
Yeah.
As they probably should. And I thought this was brilliant. You know, not only is the fight scenes, I mean, the way he drew the punch, look how fast that thing is going, man. The kid got hands. He just freaking knocks him out. Now, did you choreograph these fights? Because that's what you did, right?
Yes, this was choreographed by me. Obviously the smaller movements, the finesse movements, we had to take out because you can only show big movements. And that was one of the things that Marco and I were always discussing, like, what's the big movements of this fight and how do we show them? Like him flipping the table, the putting the hat on the dude's face. Like those are all big moments in this fight. And then one of the other things that Marco did is he changed the gender of one of the characters. And so there were supposed to be 4 guys around the table and it became 3 guys and a girl. And I was like, now we have to change the fight because Jude would never hit a lady.
Gotcha.
And so we did this comical thing that like Jude would punch a guy and the guy would like flail and the guy flailing would accidentally take out the girl. You know what I mean? That happens a couple times. So it's kind of funny.
That's
but Jude
cool.
like Spartan kicks people and
see
here it's like he hits the guy and then he hits the girl. So Jude never hits the girl, but the girl goes down.
Right.
You know? And then this kick with Jimmy, and then like this whole moment where Jude pulls his gun finally.
So how do you do these big moves? Do you send him photos of you doing these things, or do you Google the image and say, hey, this is what we're going to draw here? Like, you know what I mean?
Some of them, yes. I had actually recorded this fight with one of my martial art friends. Like we recorded this and I sent that to Marco. But I mean, he also can do things like just go watch fight scenes and pause on certain places that are exciting, which is always good too, because my choreography, I'm trying to catch certain moves, but my camera angles aren't always the most exciting. So, but he got the gist of the fight and then was able to make it dynamic. So that was the thing we did where Jimmy pulls Jude by his foot. And as he's pulling him, Jude flips over and pulls his gun and puts it in Jimmy's face. And that's when he's like, who's the B now? And then, of course, the sheriff shows up and he's just like, yeah, okay, you can put the gun down. And then slides it over.
Right.
Gone for 5 minutes. I was going to put I am disappointed, but I didn't think people would get it.
I am disappointed.
He's like, you break all my nice things. I am disappointed. And he's like, that's what you get. Shut up, Jimmy.
Hey, shut up, Jimmy.
Yeah, but then here's this moment where this is what Jude planned. He did that on purpose.
Right. Company I'm dying to meet.
I'm trying to get into this cell. He's been trying to see Dwayne, and Jimmy was going to kick him out of town. So this was his one chance to get in there and talk with this guy. He picked a fight and he hoped to God that he was, I know, my funny sense of humor. He's peeing in
your funny
toilet next to his head. He's like, oh my gatos, didn't see you there.
This is cool. And so this is where he starts to tell him the story about what
he's
he
like,
knows.
me, you're looking for me. He's like, yeah, because you know how this all started, don't you? And he was like, well, no one believes me when I tell him. He's like, well, don't you remember the first time you saw one? Flashback.
There you go. I'm not even going to continue.
Tells his story.
So this is
circle, though. We're ready to move forward and into the story. Like you got all the bases, you got all the good stuff. Let's go.
But that's again, the pacing, the character development. It's important.
Yeah.
It's important to know who Jude was prior to why he knows the things he does, like the sign language. You learn about his mom, which when I read that part, I was like, Laurie, come on, man. Like,
Sorry.
really? This is what we're doing? So
Yeah.
good job. Excellent job. But
I mean, that's the
damn.
whole point is you get to know people
Damn.
and then
Yeah.
I take them out. Sorry.
Well, you know,
So
no spoilers. We spoiled enough. But no, Lloyd, this has been fun. This is exactly what I wanted out of this.
yeah.
And I think you've delivered. Thank you so much for
Thank
doing
you.
this. I
Thanks for
appreciate
having
this.
me. And I love a chance just to nerd out on the story, especially with people who read the story
Yeah,
and
dude.
can grasp some of the finer things that I'm crafting. Because, you know, when you're on a show for the first time or you're with an audience for the first time, it's hard to go into all the extra things. You just want them to know what the story is and what here's what's cool about it. And I do all these other things. But when you look at some of the foreshadowing and some of the symbols that I've built,
Right.
and the things that I've been telling you since
Yeah.
the beginning, once we get further into the story, it's like it's all going to hit you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, no, the payoffs are awesome. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? This
They're
is
gonna be
what it
awesome.
is. That's what it is. But yeah, Laurie, listen, thank you so much for doing this. Obviously, all of your information is in the show notes, but do you want to shout out anything specific? Do you want to talk about anything specific before we go?
I just finished up a couple cons. I might have some store visits coming up in November, December, but I'm pretty much done for the year, let's be honest. Issue 5, we're gonna get that out as fast as we can because it's due. And then we're gonna start working on number 6 quietly over the holidays. So you'll see us Kickstarter again in February. And it'll be well thought out and well planned and executed. You know how we do. I got some things up my sleeves that are coming down that you're gonna enjoy, some new things.
Nice.
And then of course, make sure you tune into the podcast that I do. I love supporting indie community and indie writers and artists. I host the Tuesday Morning Brew every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's everybody. Artists, creators, novelists, musicians, ventriloquists, you name it. We've had them on the show.
Insane.
Yeah. And then Wednesdays, I host Any One World, which is ASAP Imagination and Anyone. They're the publisher that George and I both love and who publish our books. And so I interview Any One World creators on my show. And this week, we're launching a Kickstarter again. So I'm looking forward to that. It's someone's first time ever Kickstarter, just like Eddie was on last week. It was
like
first
Eddie.
ever Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Super cool. And then I do this crazy show called Killer Karen, where I put on a blonde wig and insult people to my pleasure.
Killer Karen. I remember you well.
George got that Killer Karen treatment early on. So thank you, George. Thank you, George. And awesome, Lou. I look forward to seeing you all the time. I appreciate you being there. So yeah, absolutely. Carissa Grant is coming on the Tuesday Morning Brew tomorrow.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah. No, that's awesome.
All-time
Yeah, so definitely tune in, everybody, 11 a.m. And then on Wednesday, tune in again at 11 a.m. Right.
Yep.
And so yeah, man, this has been amazing. This has been amazing. What you got?
Killer Karen is every other Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Those are recorded, so I have to edit those.
Yeah. So is there an episode? There's not an episode this Friday?
There's an episode this Friday. Yeah, it's Dennis Knight.
Okay. Dennis Knight.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Dennis Knight, man.
Yeah.
Cool,
I'm editing that one this week because it was with the 2 cons that I did, it was a weird schedule, so I have to edit that. Thank you, Lou. I know we have a blast on that show, and everyone is different.
So much fun. It's so
crazy.
much fun. It is so much fun. I love being on it. I love yes, it's my favorite. It's my favorite. It's my favorite episode of Killer Karen. It's the one that was on.
Me too.
You're such a liar.
Yeah, I say that to everybody.
Yeah, of course you do.
They're also different. Like it's just nuts.
Lou says she loves the editing on Killer Karen. It's freaking great. I love the.
Did you watch Chad's episode?
No, I didn't get a chance.
I watched Chad's episode because he calls me all these different names, and I leave them up on the screen until he changes my name again. And
you guys
as we're drinking alcohol, we had a drinking contest, and Dante drank us both under the table.
All right, Dante. There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, Laurie, thank you. You've been amazing as usual. Make sure you guys check her out tomorrow morning. If you haven't done so yet and you're watching, please give this video a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Everything we talked about is going to be in the show notes. I'm actually going to add the
I'm just
I'm
gonna
actually
keep
going to
doing it.
add Killer Karen. I'm going to add Killer Karen on there and all the other stuff you're doing. This book that you're holding, Laurie,
Yes.
your
Is
website,
available on anyoneworld.com. It is
Anyone
not, the physical one is not available on my website because I'm greedy and I want to keep all my physicals for when I go to store visits. Because it's a whole process to order these from the UK. Let's be honest. It
Correct.
takes some work. So if you want to order these, anyoneworld.com, George and Russ 5377 is there.
Yes.
And then my book's right underneath. So you can get George's book and my book right from the same place.
Correct.
And international shipping, so you can get one anywhere in the world. But
Anywhere.
you can get the digital download of this from my website, and then all of the physical issues are available from my website, and you can pre-order issue 5. Trust me, you want it. That one.
Yes. Go get it. All right. Well, listen, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
everyone, for joining us tonight. We are going to
Mhm.
go into the back and the stream. Here we go. See you later, guys. Peace.